On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, we've got a long interview with Marvin Mims. And that's it. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right. Our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Monday, January 23rd, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack match, roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options in the month of January, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, simply the best. Now, we are recording this well in advance, Ted, because I'm taking my wife on a baby moon.
Ah, look at you.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Baby two coming in May. And it's like, there's that point where she can't travel and we've got a really busy February and March. And she was like, if we're going to go, we got to go that weekend. So I will be taking her to, I don't know if she can hear in the house right now. Palm Springs.
Ooh,
I've
Palm
never been
Springs
there.
action, huh?
I've never been there
either.
I've never been there. She's never been there. So you want to make a prediction how this is going to go for me? Hopefully smoothly.
I think it's going to go fantastic. You guys going to golf?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's where the Sooners in the Desert is. Bighorn.
Yeah. I don't think we're playing there, but we're going to play.
Courses out there look amazing.
We got a massage coming to the hotel room, little mobile massage action. Yeah.
Look at you, man. Awesome. That's going to be fun.
Doing my best to be a good husband, man. But as a result of that, we're having to record this well in advance because I won't be back until late Sunday night. And we can't miss an episode, man.
Nope.
Not in a time like this. So we were thinking, what can we do? We'll just interview one of the most loved OU wide receivers in quite some time. We figured that would be good. So we've got a very long, extensive, we cover a lot of ground with our man Marvin Mims. Ted, I think people are going to like this one.
Yeah, no doubt. He's got a lot going, man. It was whole career has been fantastic. It was a very eventful fall for him, and then we closed it out with the decision, so we get to take a peek inside all of that stuff. Excellent.
All right, here he is. Here's Marvin Mims. It is our pleasure to be joined by a former Sooners great. How weird is that to hear, man? Marvin Mims is in the house. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Just been training, enjoying life, chilling. Just a mix of all of it.
We've got a lot, obviously, that we want to cover with you, but let's start with the most recent news. Right, you decided to declare for the NFL draft instead of coming back for your senior year. Just how difficult of a decision was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, probably one of the hardest decisions I've made. Probably like the most recent hardest decision was just picking what school to go to. I feel like this time, this go around, this decision was just 10 times harder than that. Just all season, hearing about draft projections and all that stuff from the beginning of the year, and it just plays in your mind all season. And then when the time really comes, you just don't really know what you want to do. So that's how I felt after the last game at Tech. So I was really just undecided until after the bowl game when I had to make a decision.
So who had the most influence on that? Because I know you got a bunch of people in your ear. You got family, you got teammates, you got coaches, you got your draft grade stuff, perhaps agents, people talking to you. Who'd you kind of lean on the most during that time to try and figure out what it is that exactly you wanted to do?
For the most, I just leaned on really my parents and the coaches, just talk to them about different stuff. My parents were basically just telling me, it's your decision. So that kind of helped a little bit. Didn't help much, but anytime new information popped up, I felt like as if every day new stuff was popping up. I just talked to them about it and just see what they had to say about it.
Because you and I talked before the bowl game about, what feedback you had gotten from the NFL draft advisory board, and you hadn't gotten your feedback yet. Did you get some encouraging news? Not trying to like put your business out there and say, hey, you're going to be drafted here, here, here. But were you pleased with the feedback you got from that process?
Yeah, I was pleased. It definitely helped. We got not just from that one draft projection thing, but just like, scouts and stuff like that and talking to them and being able to get some information from NFL GMs, stuff like that. I just reached out to as many people as possible, other people that are higher up places, not affiliated with the university that also talk to scouts and stuff like that. They will talk to them about it too. And, just kind of brought that all together.
There's a lot of stuff that pulls you towards the league, right? It's something new. It's a new challenge, money, just all kinds of opportunity. There's a lot pulling you that way. What were some of the things that were maybe pulling you to stay?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably like the easiest thing to answer, honestly, just being so fresh. But, just being in college, being around friends, stuff like that. Being at OU, really close to home, and just the relationship I have with my teammates this year, which is unlike any other with the coaching staff too, even though we've only been together for, at that time, maybe a little bit over a year. But just the impact they've had on my lives, relationships I have with them, it's just kind of hard. And also like relationships around Norman, just people I know in the community and all that stuff, just made a really hard decision and really like made me want to stay and just, plan another year in the Palace again, going at it against the Big 12, all that stuff. I mean, it's fun, it's stuff you take for granted whenever you're doing it every Saturday, but then you look back like right now and think about when it could be over and just saying, you didn't really want it to end.
So this is not something Teddy or I had to deal with, right? We played, Teddy played his 4 years, I played my 4.5. And so there was no declaring, there was no, hey coach, could I talk to you? Can we have a conversation? What's that like? What was that experience like, having to go to Coach V and let him know, like, hey, I've decided to declare? Like, it couldn't have been easy, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's stressful. From the moment after the Tech game, I think it was sometime that week, they pulled me in, basically laid down all this information, stuff in front of me about, if you want to go to the draft, if you want to stay here next year, this is what will happen, this is what it'll look like, this is what we can do for you. And so it's just real stressful, but throughout that whole process, I mean, from the end of the Tech game to the bowl game, I mean, as far as Coach Levy, Coach Venables, Coach Washington, I mean, they didn't really like press me on it or ask me all a bunch, like, hey, what are you thinking? Hey, this and that, this and that. They didn't really like just press for an answer, which helped a lot. But I knew they were in like a tough position as far as recruiting goes. That just in case I did leave, they need someone else to fill that spot. So, it was really hard. But even calling them whenever I did figure it out and made my decision, that was probably the hardest part. But all of them were real happy for me. None of them were upset or tried to make me stay or tried to pitch something else towards the end. But they're all happy for me. They said you're gonna do great things. Just keep being yourself.
What about the season? It was wild. It was. I don't think it was what anyone expected. But like as it played out, did that have an influence? I mean, because I know it's hard whenever you're not winning games, you're not doing the things you want to do. Did that have an influence on you to say like maybe like, man, I'm out of here. This is not what I expected, or was it like, man, I want to come back and turn this around, change this around, see this thing through. Did that like have any influence one way or the other?
Yeah, definitely. Just me thinking about saying of the year. I mean, it's like, from someone who came in freshman year and won a Big 12 championship, and then last year lost 2 late games at the end, and then missed the Big 12 championship. I mean, this year was something out of the ordinary for sure. And, just not being where we usually are in the Big 12, that hurt a lot. And just like a prideful type of thing, just wanting to come back and, go against those teams again, get another chance at it, all that stuff. But then just start playing like risk and reward just from coming back another year and doing the whole thing all over again. And it's just led me to where I am right now.
You mentioned that, the coaches didn't really press you on it, right? Kind of let you take your time to make your decision. I've got to assume some of your teammates maybe took a different approach. What was that like, with Dylan Gabriel coming back, obviously with the relationship you developed with the guys in the wide receiver room, with Drake Stoops announcing he was coming back, Farouk coming back, like all these guys. What was the recruitment process like from your teammates?
Yeah, I mean, Dylan, he wanted me back. Drake wanted me back. I love playing with Drake. I mean, he's probably my favorite teammate I've had since being at OU for sure, just being able to share a field with him. And then Dylan's mom, even every time I'd see her, she'd recruit me too. So I should come back another year. And, Jaleel Farouk even told me, I'd love to play with you again, this and that. Just talk about like my leadership and what it's meant to him and stuff like that, which means a lot to me. But then you look at the younger guys in the room and they're like, ask me what I'm going to do. And, at some point they need their opportunity, their shot. And so part of me felt like, if I have an opportunity, this is a good opportunity. I'm in a good place, good, comfortable place. And what's the point of me coming back and risking it all and then ultimately wasting those guys' time and all this stuff? So it's kind of like mixed emotions. Like no one ever said, no, Marvin, I want you to leave, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you can kind of read the room. And, like some guys want to, after a year of not playing as much as they really wanted to, they want to go out there and play ball.
I'm using myself as an example, and it's probably the worst thing to do, but I feel like I almost always, like, my intuition or whatever, my first instinct on what it is that I want to do, it's almost impossible to pull me away from that. That's probably a character flaw, but what were there moments where you went back and forth, or was it kind of seated in there that, okay, if I get the right information here or there, I'm going? Like this is what is my brain, my heart, everything is telling me to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically where it was. I mean, it went back and forth, but just at one point, it's like, okay, I get this information, I'm going, just like you said. And they got information, and then, there's always a chance to make things better. That's like they always tell you, you can come back for another year, do this, do that, blah, blah, this and that, but it's like no guarantees. But that was always also in there too. And so that was a big thing. And then I know I wanted to play in the bowl game, finish the season out, take the trip with the guys, have fun, all that stuff. And then just playing in the bowl game with the fans out there and at the end of the game doing the alma mater and all that stuff. I mean, it just got like real emotional for me. And it was a point where it's like kind of swaying me back and forth, like, do I really want to walk away from this? And that was just probably one of the hardest moments that I've had recently, just doing that at the end of the game and then walking back to the locker room, a bunch of seniors and stuff crying and guys hugging each other saying how thankful they are. And it's like at that moment you can just kind of know in your head like that's it. You know what I mean? And that was just really hard.
Did it make it a little easier? I know you guys lost the game, but did it make it a little easier that you balled out in the bowl game?
I mean, it made it a little bit easier, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's just like it made it better that we were so close, just leading up to the game. I mean, Oklahoma's going against Florida State and everybody's counting us out, just because Florida State's supposed to be this great team, which they are. But I feel like we really played well against them, and I made it hurt even worse just because we were literally right there.
Would you think about the feedback you got? Like not to go into details on the like draft position or anything like that, but were you shocked by maybe some things that people liked and maybe some things that they said need work? Like, just how did that process go?
Yeah, I think it honestly went pretty well. Just from me stepping back, looking at myself, looking what I put on film and stuff like that. I mean, a big thing was that I played 3 years, haven't missed a game. So scouts are saying, there's a lot of film on me. And each year you can definitely see my favorite thing is like the physical growth and like the impact, like blocking and stuff like that. You can definitely see on it from me since my freshman year. But, other stuff's just like, oh, he's an undersized guy. And, if I come back to school, I'm not going to grow and be 6'2" or 6'3". So it's that stuff like that can't really be fixed. But End of the day, that was pretty much it. What they said, I was pretty content with it. I felt great about it. The stuff I put on film, I felt really good about it. You know, I mean, it's all there. There's no hiding from tape.
So we're gonna get into your career, especially kind of what transpired in the 2022 season. But so what are you doing now? Right? You went from the bowl game, you end up declaring, you make your decision. Walk us through like that decision to declare and the process to what you're doing today.
Yeah, I mean, the decision to declare. From then on, things started up. Had to go. I'm still in for right now. I'm in Frisco, Texas, home for me, and they have a training facility here. Really, honestly, one of the better ones in the country. So I went there, Exos, toured the facility. They're telling me, training starts the next day. So at this time, this is probably maybe the Wednesday after. And so I'm already started training. I'm up there every day, even Saturdays, get Sundays off. But that's basically how my day looks. I got my own apartment now, right down the street, kind of from my parents. So that's pretty nice. But at the end of the day, man, I'm just, training a lot. I'm not doing school right now, taking the semester off just to focus on training and getting myself right. But talk about training, talk about getting on the board, drawing up plays and stuff, uh, practice, interview meetings, all that stuff just to get ready for the combine.
You got any like specific things, like maybe size, like weight or numbers that you're shooting for? Like what are some of the maybe specific goals that you got for training during this? It's not a very long stretch. It happens pretty quick.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're on an 8-week program. This might be week 3. Yeah, this must be week 3. So week 3 out of 8 weeks. And honestly, we haven't even started running 40s and stuff yet. I know some of the guys that got here, not having bowl games and stuff earlier, they ran their 40s, all that stuff, got time, all that stuff. I haven't done that, from the starting point, but we started doing like starts and all that stuff and technique and all that. So, a big thing about the draft, especially as a receiver, is they want to know what you're going to run. So, in the 40, I'll be shooting for 4 threes for sure. That's my goal. Preferably low 4.3. But other than that, everything else is pretty much fair game.
Is it because think back to Teddy and I going through this process, right? Teddy played in the Senior Bowl. I played in the Shrine Game, got invited to the Senior Bowl because I played well that week at the Shrine Game, and then did the combine. Like, you don't have to worry about the Senior Bowl or any of the All-Star stuff, anything like that. Like, you can just focus on training. Do you feel like that's an advantage, just being able to be that focused on getting ready to really show out at the combine?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, just training wise, I don't really have to worry about football in a sense of mine. I just have to worry about training, training for the draft and running tests basically. So I think that's a lot. I like that a lot. A lot of guys are leaving. I think the bowl game or the all-star game, whatever you want to call it, is at the end of January. So guys are getting ready for that. But there's also a plus going to those, just being in front of coaching staffs and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm happy where my position is. I'm just happy to be able to just focus on the combine and just try to show out when I get there.
We'll get you back to the interview. But first, the only place to stop when you're road tripping is Love's Travel Stops. Love's has over 600 locations in 41 states, offering 24-hour access to clean and safe places. Whatever your road trip needs are, Love's has it. Fuel, fresh food, all the snacks and drinks, including, yes, my favorite, Java Amore. That coffee is fantastic. Love's also has you covered if you forget your phone charger or headphones. They've expanded their mobile to-go zone so you can grab any of that stuff there. Make sure you download the Loves Connect app for exclusive offers from today's most popular brands. The Loves Connect app also includes a route planner and store locator. When you see that red neon heart on the highway, stop in and say hi at Love's Travel Stops. For a full list of what Love's has to offer, visit loves.com.
Opolis Clothing is the exclusive home for all of our Oklahoma Breakdown merchandise. If you want to live your life in butter yourself comfort, go to opolisclothing.com. That's OPOLIS clothing.com and use promo code TED TED for 10% off your entire order. You still get a discount on all of the OU and OKC Thunder gear as well. That's opolisclothing.com. Use promo code TED, TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off.
All right, back to the interview.
It's this one's pretty far away, but pro day at OU, I think that's always you do go to the combine and you're nervous, you have all those interviews, and then you go pro day. It's like you're at home and you can relax and cut it loose a little bit. Have you heard anything about that? Like maybe who's throwing or like how pro day may unfold?
No, I haven't talked to anybody about it. I have no idea how pro day is going to unfold. But I went last year, and last year was technically under Coach Venables for the most part. I'm pretty sure he planned out the whole thing. I'm not sure, but I'd assume. But I was there last year for pro day, so I kind of know how it works, But just like you said, just being at home, being in that indoor that I'm used to being in so much, and all that stuff. I mean, it's going to be a huge change. But I'm ready for it. I'm excited to be able to be back in there at least one more time.
It'll be a lot more fun at pro day if you run low 4.3s at the combine.
Yeah.
I know that. I know that for a fact. That'll make it a much more fun experience.
Yeah,
okay,
you may be wearing a sweatsuit over there, just hanging out, shaking hands.
He's gonna be clapping.
Yeah.
That's all he's gonna be doing.
Cheering
Just
guys
clapping
on
for,
if you go
for his
plays a
teammates.
4-3.
Yeah,
That's good.
but let's get into the season a little bit. And it's weird. You said it earlier. I hear a lot of you guys talk about how tight the team was, right? And how much you guys enjoyed being around each other. But you also you end up 6-7, right?
Mm.
Just that has to result in like some mixed emotions about the season as a whole. Like how confusing is it to you that you guys felt as close as you did and you didn't get the results on the field?
Yeah, I mean it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially going through the season and being in the receiver room where it's basically just me, Theo, and Drake, and then you have a lot of young receivers who don't really get it or understand it. But I mean, we all agree that this was the best team we've had. As far as just being together, all that stuff. When you go talent wise, I mean, we're not far off from the other teams that I've been a part of personally. But we had lost a handful of games by 3 points, at least less than 7 points, 7 or less points, and sometimes things didn't add up or click up. But I mean, Coach Venables talked about all year as being a complementary football team. When the offense is on, defense is on. Defense makes a big play, offense goes scores, and there's multiple times throughout the season where we just didn't have that. And we talk about it all the time, and sometimes it just never clicked. Adding on special teams to that after get a big punt return, kick return, something like that, just being able to score off of it, make points off of it, just keep building momentum.
How'd you the offense, like the style is a little bit different than what you were used to previously, but man, there's a lot of deep shots. We got a lot of you running down the field, streaking down the field. So like what was your overall feel of the offense that you guys ran?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, as a receiver, I mean, it's a receiver's dream to play in that offense. Just it creates so many mismatches. Just how fast we play, how fast we get the ball lined up, how fast the signal comes in, how fast we get set. I mean, it just really does because the defense doesn't really know how to set up. And going into games, we'll get a lot of. This year, we got a lot of cover 1, cover 4s, just so we can make it simple on the defense. And they just have to stick to those basic calls. They can't really get into their deep calls just because we're moving so fast and they can't confuse themselves.
Kind of going back to the close knit, but you're not winning games. Like it's the most productive year of your career. So how was it? Was it hard for you to kind of enjoy the personal success you were having in the season, right? With some of the biggest games of your career because you guys were struggling so much as a team. I mean, that couldn't have been easy for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely hard. There's some moments where I had really big games. Some moments I had games that I won, games that we lost, and it's just like really just throughout the season, it was just a whole bunch like self-reflecting. Like, what can I do more? What can the offense do more as a group? Me and Drake, every Sunday we'd go in there. He usually watched the game first, and I'd go in right after him just because of treatment time and stuff like that and watch the game. And It's basically like, what could the receivers do more? What could we do to just help the team? And offensively, it's just a big question. It's just like, if you're playing good, you're playing bad. Teams losing, and you're like, you're playing bad. I mean, you obviously got to play good. Then when you're playing good, it's just like, what more can I do to help the team win? And I feel like that's just a thing that we were kind of stuck at, all season.
How frustrating was the OU Texas game?
Oh God.
Because you played in like two of the craziest games we've seen, and then you played in
And won both of them.
And won both of them. And then this year's was like, okay, we knew going in like this is going to be strange. All right, this is going to be without Dylan there, not know what we're going to get. So like, what was it like just thinking about how those previous games unfolded, and then just how that one got away and then kept slipping away? Just, it was strange.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the toughest game to swallow in my career. Just me playing in that game, what I've done in the past in that game, me being back home. I mean, there's just so many reasons why I just love playing that game. Bunch of players on their team I played against in high school. One of them is one of my closest friends. I played with them in high school. So playing
Hopefully
Texas,
none of them are training there with you at your place in Frisco, are they?
no, they're not training there.
Good.
So playing Texas is always like a big deal for me. And, just the way the game unfolded. And, you knew stuff was going to be different just because we didn't have Dylan out there. But, just the score and it getting out of hand and us not really fighting back and us being stagnant on offense and just my role in the offense that day. I mean, it's just hard. It was a really tough pill to swallow. It just sucked, just because how much that game means to me.
I can tell you that is the least fun I've ever had at a football game in my entire life. And obviously I wasn't playing in it, but I'm way too emotionally invested in the results. And I had never felt like that after a game as a player or doing the radio call. Nothing. I was miserable. I can't imagine how you guys felt, man. I'm sorry you had to go through that, dude. It was brutal.
I feel like it, for you though, I don't think you need to worry about it. I feel like that game is like going to evaporate, and like you've got some great memories. Like people got some great memories of you in that game. So that's for you. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was. Now, one of the interesting things, and I was kind of just thinking about, your career as a whole, and 3 different wide receiver coaches in 3 seasons. With the amount of continuity that we've seen at OU, like that's so strange, right? And clearly, you had the coaching change, then you had the unfortunate situation with Coach Gundy. Like, how difficult was that? Having 3 different voices in that room 3 seasons in a row.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, it's tough. Even add on to that 3 different quarterbacks. Basically in 3 seasons. So, going back to freshman, sophomore year, I mean, switching back and forth between Coach Gundy, Coach Simmons, I mean, it's a lot of kind of the same thing. They, of course, they're going to have their different teaching points and stuff like that, but just staying in Coach Riley's offense is kind of the same. And then, switching over to Coach Washington junior year, I mean, it's just, you learn so much from it at the same time, but it's hard to, like, really detail the stuff you learn just because you have to switch off so much, you know what I'm saying? Just because everybody has like their own way of teaching their own thing and stuff like that. But that was also like a big thing about me coming back. It's just like I don't want to have 4 receiver coaches in 4 years. That was a big thing I talked about with Coach Levy and Coach Washington. It's just like that's something I just didn't want to do.
What do you think you'll miss the most?
I'll miss the most. That's a great question.
We can eliminate some things. You're not going to miss like winter workouts.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not going to miss the summer stuff.
Not going to miss class.
Not going to miss class.
Definitely not.
Usually it just kind of comes down to the teammates, right? In the locker room.
Just hanging out. I'd probably say like hanging out between meetings, lunches, all that stuff. Just time where you'd actually sit down, chill out, play video games, or just do whatever with the guys. Bowl games are great. Just hanging out, little stuff like that. Just sitting and talking, getting to know each other. receiver meetings this past year were great. Just getting to learn more about each other, and being the old guy and the young guys teaching me so much stuff, and just crazy room this year. But it's just stuff like that, really little things.
You can go as deep as you want on this, but you've developed as a vocal leader over your last couple of years, right? I remember you as a true freshman, just kind of always smiling, not saying much, kind of a quieter guy. And
Yeah.
then you became a more fiery, kind of passionate, vocal guy in your junior year. Like how challenging was it for you to get out of your comfort zone and to grow as a leader and like develop that? Because I don't think that was kind of like naturally part of your personality.
Yeah, I mean, in high school, my senior year, I was a real vocal guy, but it's easy being like people you've grown up with, people you know real well. And then going to freshman year, I mean, I'm like a 160-pound freshman that's coming in. I mean, I just didn't feel like, I mean, we had Creed Humphrey and Ronnie Perkins, and I feel like I just didn't want to say a word at all. Just how scared I was of those guys to say something to me. I just worried about my own job doing stuff right. And then sophomore year, I know we had Jay Hall, stuff like that. So I always looked at it as like, I don't want to overstep the older guys, that have been here so long and put so much toward the program. And, junior year, got B Will, who really just took B Will and Justin Broyles. I mean, they just took it and ran with it. I mean, those are our guys this past year, great leaders. And, just being in the receiver room alone. It's the first year we had everybody together. And really it was just me, Drake, and Theo. And none of us really as vocal guys. Drake, when Drake's pissed off, he'll say some stuff. But other than that, I mean, just the guys relating to younger guys, knowing how it feels since I'm the one who's been there most recently. That's really where I excelled at this year. Just talking to younger guys, getting to know them, getting to learn what I can say to them, what I can't say to them, kind of knowing why they did this, why they did that, just because I've been a young guy so recently and I just kind of know how things roll. So just being able to relate to them that way, they really appreciated that, especially in the receiver room. And then other, outside of the locker room, I mean, in the locker room, other positions, I mean, just getting to know guys, just learning where they're from, little things, family, all that stuff, what they like to do, who hangs out with you. I mean, it just goes such a long way, not only in life, but just like in the locker room, workouts and stuff, yelling at people. And, it's just the way they respond, just because I have a personal, I'm just personal with them. I try to get that way with everybody in the locker room. I just felt like it worked out pretty well this year.
We'll get you back to the interview, but first,
Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School represents a tradition of educational excellence in Oklahoma City. Grounded in a faith-based education, students prepare to meet their potential with an individualized academic path that strives for success. Bishop McGuinness offers a college prep curriculum that includes 22 AP courses, participation in OSSAA athletics, where they've won over 100 state championships, and numerous clubs and organizations for students to join and grow. If you want to provide the best possible educational and spiritual development for your children, contact Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School or visit bmchs.org. Financial aid is available.
And attention business owners, you need Insurica in your life. Insurica is one of the country's largest insurance brokers with 30 offices throughout Oklahoma, Texas, and the Southwest. Insurica is able to customize programs by accessing the latest information from many insurance carriers. They compare and contrast coverage offerings and pricing in order to design a cost-effective, comprehensive program to meet your business's specific needs. Insurica's clients become best-in-class businesses by working with Insurica's team of advisors to manage risk. Purchasing insurance is only one way to protect your business. Best-in-class businesses win by avoiding a loss in the first place. If your business partners with Insurica, you'll save huge amounts of money and take back control of your total cost of risk. I'm an Insurica client, and you should be too. If your business wants to be best-in-class, connect with Insurica at insurica.com. That's INSURICA.com. All right, back to the interview.
Who do you see from the younger guys? It doesn't have to be a wide receiver. It can be anyone on the team that, it's kind of like you see a little Marvin Mims in them. They're young. They're kind of sitting back, kind of waiting their turn a little bit, but you're saying to yourself, now that dude, look out for him in a year or two or three. He's going to be something. You see any of those guys walking around?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, My favorite guy, probably in the receiver room, is Gavin Freeman. I love him to death. He's definitely not Marvin Mims, though. I mean, that kid is all over the place mentally and just saying anything in meetings. Just thinking about it, it's just hilarious. Love him to death. But Nick Anderson, I mean, a big guy. Was going to play some ball this year, but kind of got held back with reoccurring injuries, stuff like that. Just really didn't get the time he needed to heal just from him wanting to play. And I get it, but he's going to be a really good player. Just coming in mature, not saying much. Having Rodney there and another brother in the NFL, I'm pretty sure that helped a lot. But just the way he approaches the game, how smart he is, how he handles his work, all that stuff. I mean, he's going to be a really good player.
So there's another guy in that wide receiver room that we're all wondering, like, where was he this season?
Mhm.
And Jaden Gibson, clearly, like, he's got a body type. You see him, you're like, okay, why is that guy not on the field? How excited should we be about him? Because I know I've seen the emotion just being on the sideline for the games. Like, the kid's got emotion, he's got passion, he wants to be on the field. What kind of prevented him from being on the field this season, and what type of player do you think he can be?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be a great player. Just a highlight reel waiting to happen. He's a really young guy. When you talk about young guys, he's kind of like what you kind of think about. Just a young guy. He talks a lot. We always joke with him that he's a Florida kid. He talks a lot. He's going to make sure that you feel him when he's out there on the field. He's just real young. Sometimes he'll mess up little things, but he's a really, really smart kid. I mean, photographic memory. When we put in installs, like he'll look at a play, memorize it, swipe to the next play, memorize that, and he'll be good for the rest of the week. Really smart kid. Just kind of waiting to get his opportunity. He went through some injuries this year, and the way the rotation was with me, Theo, Drake, and Jaleel, he didn't really just see the time he wanted to out there. Played a little bit against TCU. But other than that, I mean, he fought a couple injuries, but he's going to be a really good player. I already have it out there on social media, some highlight reel catches, fall camp, all that stuff. So he's going to be a real good player.
You got to see some of the young kids at the bowl game. A couple offensive linemen rolled through there. Barnes, Sawchuck there in the backfield. What do you think the offense is going to be next year? You think they've got a really high ceiling?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the offense has a really, really high ceiling. Yeah, DG back there again, making things work. It's gonna be great for the offense. Him, his familiarity with the offense. I mean, you can't put it into words how good he is back there. Offensive lineman, got a young group, but that's learned against really some really good guys. Gavin Sawchuk, Javante Barnes. I mean, that's something I'm real excited to watch next year. Those two guys, the way they run the ball is so aggressive. They're gonna hit holes, all that stuff, just get vertical. I love it. It was great to be out there with them in the bowl game. Seeing Javante didn't get as much reps with EG back there, being able to get more reps and solidify himself. And then Gavin, just being a spark for us, someone who didn't play all year literally, and just being able to go out there and go for 100 yards and score a touchdown. I mean, that's great for him. Then at receiver, you got Drake Stoops, Mr. Reliable, always going to know what to do, always going to make sure everybody else knows what to do. And then got Jalil Farouk. He's going to take a big step next year as a receiver, a heck of a football player, running back, run over people, all that stuff. I mean, he loves it. Physical guy. Outside, I mean, last year behind me had LV, Bunkley Sheldon, someone who's played a lot of ball at Arizona State, transferred in, and really good player, real good understanding for the game. A lot of production at Arizona State, and then coming back, you got big Austin Stogner. Somebody I'm happy to see back and able to play. That's my guy, love him to death, and just to see him back and to play and do what he wants to do. I mean, it's going to be huge. I'm really excited for it.
So one of the things that I hear from you guys a lot, you guys talk about the culture that Venables has built, right? And you touched on it a little bit earlier about, how close the locker room feels now. Like, how different is the culture there now? Like, and how did you deal with that change? Like, how'd you feel about it?
Yeah. I mean, him coming in, and we had his little, I don't know what they call, like the little ceremony coaches have whenever they come to a new school, and we had it indoor. And he had a meeting with us before, and he kind of ran down with us how things are going to be. Yeah, Coach Schmitty in there, no one's going to mess with Schmitty. We heard all the stories about him, and just him bringing the culture after we played Oregon that next winter/spring. I mean, it was, as an older guy, it was hard to get used to. I don't want to say it sucked, but it was just like it was just difficult because you're supposed to be a leader and you're leading guys and you're leading young guys and you haven't been through it yourself. And like, you know how it is when you're going through something and part of you kind of knows the rhyme and reason for it, but at the other time you don't want to accept it because you just don't like going through it. And that's kind of how it was some parts of the whole year last year. But as far as his culture is, I mean, it's great. It's really not even about football. It's just about being men in general, handling your business, going to class when you're supposed to be in class. If not, there'll be punishments, showing up to stuff on time, early, at least 5 minutes early, 10 minutes early, team meetings. I mean, it's just like little things like that that can throw some people far behind. And that can, for other people, it's just not a problem at all. It separates a lot, just with guys who struggle with time management. I mean, as you said, as y'all know, that's a big thing in college, just guys controlling their time and knowing when to be and all that stuff and showing up to class and knowing what they're supposed to do in class. So, I mean, as far as Coach Venable's culture is, I mean, it's really great culture. We really instilled it last year, but it wasn't easy at all. It's hard to go through it. A lot of things that we didn't like as players, a lot of things that we had to adjust to as players, a lot of things that had to be adjusted to as coaches. I feel like it was kind of back and forth, just him adjusting to us and us adjusting to him. And so just for us to get that foundation laid down, I mean, it was great. I honestly loved it, just being a part of it. Him talking in front of us every day, just a guy who's just about us, 100% of the time. And, he's real with us. He's honest with us. He's going to tell us how it is and just not hold anything back.
Transition's always the most difficult, all right? Whenever you got to change whatever that was from the past to what you're going to be doing now, that's always the most difficult. Do you feel like there was a point where maybe the team kind of got over the hump and, it's never going to be easy. It's never easy. Football's not easy at any level. But do you feel like maybe everyone kind of started to get it a little bit more as maybe time wore on, and how does that style, you think, project for the future?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just think about last year, there's different points where, because we have like an accountability chart, basically has everything on there: nutrition, school, like football, I want to say, equipment room, weight room, all that stuff, just every aspect of basically being a college athlete. And, at first when we went through, there's a lot of dips. It started getting high, real high, everybody getting on board. Then spring ball starts, you get more responsibilities, starts taking a dip again. Summer, it goes good. Fall camp, it goes good. And then we start the season, it's going good. And it just kind of goes up and down during the season, not like drastically up and down, but just kind of levels off during the season. I feel like that was just, just like I said, a lot of getting used to. A lot of guys, just figuring it out. A lot of older guys trying to help guys figure it out. Coaches trying to help guys figure it out. But I think it was great, just for the future. I mean, guys know exactly what to expect. There's going to be no surprises. I feel like that's a big thing. Just like you said, transition is a lot to get used to just because you don't really know what's coming up. Like now the guys, they've seen it, they know what's happening, so now they're used to it and just be able to react to it.
How different we'd heard a lot about, and Teddy and I were able to make it out to a couple spring ball practices and training camp practices, and it looked different. That's for sure. But what was the conversation like between you and your teammates about the change, like in the practice structure, in the hitting and all that? And like, how'd you guys handle that?
Yeah. I mean, it took a lot of player-led meetings, with, JB, B. Will getting up there and just being like, yeah, we're not used to this, but, this is just how it is now. When we get on that practice field, we're just going to have to go after each other. Of course, keep each other safe, nothing extra. Sometimes stuff extra will happen. It's just football. But, it's just like we got to go at it. We got to do what he wants to do. We got to do this. We got to do that. Had a couple drills in there that just got real physical, even as a receiver and DBs and stuff going at it. I mean, it's just the way he wanted us to practice the mentality. He wants us to go at Coach Schmitty with his workouts, different mentalities he wants us to unlock within them. And I feel like it, just being out there definitely during that. I mean, it definitely translates to the field. I feel like, at least for myself, in the receiver room. I trained with a guy that we played in the Big 12. And, he told me that I don't know what got into y'all this year, but it was just y'all are just so much more of a physical team. And, it's little stuff like that, that'll just keep escalating throughout the years as people's bodies come accustomed to it, as their mind come accustomed to it, and they're just used to training how we trained last year and just building on that for years to come.
Did Lincoln trying to take you to USC when he left? Was he trying to drag you along? Did that conversation take place?
No, there was no conversation. There was no conversation. I think he knew that I wasn't going to go to USC.
Gotcha.
Remember, because that was a huge deal around here. Like, who's going to stay? Who's going to go?
Yeah.
Like, clearly, when coaches, around the country, they smell blood in the water. Like, I got to assume that quite a few people reached out one way or another, right?
Definitely. I mean, I had my phone blown up, and it was really just like players or people texting this guy and him texting me and all that stuff. Just seeing what I was gonna do, and man, that was a tough time. And just seeing what I was gonna do, and luckily, we didn't have anything really important to do at that time. I mean, we got Coach Venables, which was great, but part of that for me, it didn't really solidify anything, just because he's a defensive guy. Hiring Coach Levy was even better. So kind of just led to me staying. But other than that, had guys texting my phone telling me I should come here, do this, do that, all types of stuff.
Hey, you up? What's up?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
All right, we'll get you back to the interview. But first,
John Vance Auto Group has been serving Oklahomans for 40 years. They've got 9 full-service dealerships in Woodward, Miami, and Guthrie. No matter what your vehicle needs are, John Vance Auto Group has you covered. They carry domestic brands such as Ford, Lincoln, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and Wagoneer. They also offer commercial vehicles and wheelchair-accessible vans. We are currently working with them on something special to offer our listeners. We'll let y'all know as soon as we finalize that. Until then, you can browse their entire inventory or find the John Vance dealership near you at vanceauto.com.
And First Fidelity Bank is a full-service financial institution based in Oklahoma with tailored solutions for all your personal and business needs. Checking accounts, saving accounts, home loans, and much more. They do it all. Whether it's online banking from your computer or mobile banking from your phone, everything is stress-free with FFB. Making mobile deposits, paying bills online, and moving money to different accounts could not be easier. Make your life easier and go bank with First Fidelity Bank. Visit ffb.com for more information. All right, back to the interview.
So, what's your favorite moment that you had at OU? Could be a play, could be a game, could be anything that you want it to be. What's the one thing that you think is always going to stand out?
Yeah, definitely the Texas catch. I mean, that's just from a universal thing. Anytime my name will be said, anytime OU Texas is brought up, the catch will be brought up, be showed. Personally, my favorite game is probably the Big 12 championship against Iowa State. I mean, it's just hard to beat that, championship game. Did some hardware. Freshman year, first touchdown against Missouri State for sure. And then playing at TCU, it's basically like home for me, and just having my best game of the season at that point, just something that just blew out of water for me. That's probably my favorite moments for sure. I mean, Texas for so many reasons. My sophomore year, huge moment for me. This junior year, and I just had all around a good year. Towards the end of the season, I mean, catch against Tech, that's great. Who else? Baylor. That's usually a tough game offensively for us playing against them.
I don't feel like the catch against Tech.
It's because they lost.
I know.
If they win the game, it's a way bigger deal.
But even it's like it happened and no one recognizes what they just saw. Have you
honestly
heard that from people? Because it just right back on the ball. It was crazy.
Yeah. When it happened, I didn't think much of it. Because if I would have just reached my hand out there and just snagged it, then okay, maybe that's cool. But I kind of tipped it and then caught it. and then just tucked it in. And like to me, it wasn't that big of a deal, so I just ran back and just got the ball snapped in the next play.
We were all like, hang on, can we go back and talk about what just happened? That was like a blind behind the back, like just guessing where the ball, well, not guessing, I mean, reacting in the moment, but it's so crazy, but I don't know. I don't think it gets the respect it deserves.
Yeah. I mean, I'm cool with it. I mean, I got
It's going to be a
plays that
grower.
just,
People are going.
yeah.
Everyone's thinking about the loss at the time, but over the years, that's going to be one everyone comes back to. I know it.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, it's just me doing like OU Texas. I mean, nothing's going to beat that on that stage, that score, at that time. I mean, it's just tough. So
Hell,
I've just been like,
Teddy's still
yeah.
living off a play he made to OU Texas.
I know it. It's crazy. Oh man, that was amazing though. That's the replay of that. That is. I don't know that there's ever been another highlight for OU specifically that is covered at like that perfect of an angle. Like you just don't get that. It's amazing. It's cool.
So, Marvin, typically on our podcast, we do this thing called Call Your Shot.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of doing that, we asked listeners for questions for you. Got a lot of submissions. Picked a couple. And this one made me laugh, so I'm going to read it to you. This first one comes from Steve Bullard, who says, is it harder to catch balls from a lefty? Because that's what Boom Soon 789462682 on OUScoopers.com thinks. I'll hang up and listen. I don't know why I thought that was so funny.
It's definitely harder catching balls from a lefty. Just the way Dylan throws the ball, it's different than any quarterback I've had in the past. It took a lot of getting used to at first, in the games. It's kind of a whole nother thing just from like reaction time and stuff like that. But I mean, not to, make up an excuse or something, but it's definitely different catching a ball from a lefty, I have to say.
Who threw the most catchable ball out of those three guys? Because, right, you had Rattler, Heisman Trophy winner now, Caleb Williams. That, by the way, that had to be was that weird watching him win the Heisman Trophy? Like, I assume you're happy for the guy, but it's like, hey, that was my quarterback last year, and now he's winning the Heisman somewhere else. That had to be a little strange.
Yeah, it was definitely strange. What's funny is I went to the USC Tulane game, and I was sitting on like the USC side, so it was cool. It was great. It was fun. Tulane had that place packed out though, and just the way the game went. I mean, it was probably I kept saying like it was probably the most exciting game not exciting, but just like I don't even know what word to use.
Did you want Tulane to score at the end? Who were you going for?
I kept going in. I mean, people kept asking me. I just said I just wanted to be a good game, and I couldn't have
perfect answer.
Couldn't have drawn it up any better at the end, just from like how everything went down. And Tulane had the place packed out. I mean, they're making a bunch of. It was fun. It was definitely fun.
Yeah. Well, most catchable ball between those three. It doesn't necessarily mean best quarterback, right? Like, just
definitely, it's not the same
like
thing at all.
Softest arrival. You're like, oh, that's nice.
I mean, as far as most catchable ball, I mean, it has to be Spencer Rattler. Just the way he throws the ball, the touch he has on the ball.
I thought that's what you were going to say.
The touch he has on the ball, and it's very much different than any quarterback I had. It's just the way he just like kind of just puts it there, and I don't know how to explain it, but I mean, the other receivers would definitely know, especially those that play with him. But just the way he throws the ball and the softness and all that stuff, I mean, it just makes it easier to catch for sure.
It was good to see him play well at the end of the year for South Carolina.
It's awesome.
It was cool to see. Okay, we got a couple more for you. This one comes from @SoonerLock, who says, what DB was the biggest trash talker for OU in practices? And he adds, all funny stories welcome.
Oh, man.
It's usually not the best player. It's somehow it always works out that way.
I've got a guess, and my guess certainly not the best player. So
it's let me think. Okay. He's a pretty big trash talker. Well, number one, for sure, to anybody on the field, it could be to lineman, is Justin Broyles. He'll talk the most mess to anybody. It doesn't matter who it is.
It all adds up.
It is hilarious. It's hilarious. It's just the way he is on the practice field and stuff like that. Close second, DB wise, would definitely have to be Josh Eaton. Or I don't know. I just feel like I had such a good relationship with guys that if they smack talk
Yeah,
to me,
you're
I
a
feel
little
like it
too
was like
likable
yeah, I
and
feel like it was
fast. A
kind of
little
like
too likable and a little too fast.
It's a
either
bad
like
combination
messing
for trash
around
talk.
or like dead serious. Oh, Justin Burrows was dead serious, but everyone else, I just couldn't tell if it was messing around or dead serious. That's for sure. But yeah, Justin Royals for sure takes the crown on that one. No doubt in my mind.
That seems about right. It seems about right. All right, here's the last question for you. This comes from Grumpy Duel. I don't know. Okay. He says, I know he's got to be thankful for the chance at the NFL, but if that never worked, what else does he see himself doing for a career? So I think he's basically asking, hey, if like football wasn't it, what would you be doing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I honestly have zero idea what I'd be doing. Yeah, no idea. I mean, I just definitely don't want to have like an office job. Just sit in the office all day and look at a computer and stuff like that. I just can't. I feel like I've been too active in my life to just.
You're a real estate investor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
That's
sure.
what
Commercial real
That's
estate.
what I want to get into.
Yeah.
Use
that's
that
it.
smile to your advantage, big guy.
That's
Come
right.
on.
Yeah, get into that. But as far as like job, if nothing works out, I'm not sure. I mean, not like I'm putting all my money into football, just working out, but I just don't have that figured out yet.
You got time, man. You're young.
Yeah.
And
I still don't have it figured out. I don't think you ever do.
Yeah.
And I also think you're going to make a lot of money playing football, so that helps.
Yeah, you'll be good.
Marv, man, we appreciate the time. Wish you the best of luck in the training process at the combine, draft. Obviously, we'll try to check in with you after all of that stuff, maybe get you back on to recap how everything went down. But you've been one of our favorites, man. You're the best. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Man, I hope he gets drafted early. I really do. He is one of my favorite guys. Like since I've started doing the radio stuff, he's one of my favorite guys. Man, he's always just been so pleasant to be around.
Yeah. No, he's had a super productive career at Oklahoma. I ultimately think that he made the right decision, the best decision. And I don't even think it matters where he gets drafted. I think that he's made the right decision. And I think that as long as he goes to a place that has a good quarterback, which, is kind of just luck of the draw, I think he can have a super productive career in the NFL, man.
Yeah. And the thing about him is I've never heard anyone say a bad word about him. Coach, teammate, media person, not one. I think he's like impossible not to like, man. And clearly it's about your performance on the field when you're being evaluated as a player, but as a locker room guy, I think any NFL team would be happy to have him, man. He's great.
Well, as well as I do, you got 90 guys there, and it comes down to, the final 53. And a lot of times there's a lot of really, really close decisions where you're not exactly sure. And the butthead gets cut over the locker room guy, the good guy that no one ever says a bad word about every single time.
And luckily, Marvin's also really fast and talented. So
Burn
he's probably not going to live at the old bottom of the roster like I did, man. I think he's going to be a little more comfortable.
And I've tried to think of some comps out there of who exactly he reminds me of, and I'm not exactly sure. I need to see where the 40 is. I think that if he goes out there and blazes a 40, he could. There's a lot of guys that have had real successful careers in the NFL that you can kind of look to and say he's kind of like that. I think Tyler Lockett right off the top is fairly similar in his skill set.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And if he can have a Tyler Lockett type career, he's going to be a rich man.
That's right. That's right.
Gosh, I hope he does well. I hope he kills at the combine. I hope he gets drafted super high because he's one of my favorites. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We certainly did. But on that note, episode 285 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that will drop on Wednesday. Just a reminder, you can hear Teddy from 3 to 6 on 94.7 The Ref. You can hear me from 2 to 5 on SiriusXM Big 12 Radio, channel 375. Hope you all have a great week. And until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening. Do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.